This is not a cut and dry, easy decision for anybody who is up here.
A Salt Lake County Council member said she would not vote for a mask mandate in schools unless things became catastrophic.
He came back the first day and said that there were only 5 other kids wearing masks.
But one father says that's exactly what has happened to his family. Now he has a scathing message for leaders.
We are learning more tonight about an attempted kidnapping in Roy, what police say about the suspect's disturbing history, and how the young girl was able to get away.
It was a smoky start to the week for northern Utah, but for southern Utah, increased showers and thunderstorms. I'm tracking the possibility of flash flooding and how far north those storms will make it.
On the front lines of disaster.
We're happy to do it, and it is a bit of a privilege.
From Hurricane Ida to out-of-control wildfires, how some of Utah's best are making a difference and saving lives.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9, starts right now.
So far this month, since the start of the school year, there have been 1,027 cases of COVID-19 in Utah schools. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Bob Evans.
And I'm Kelly Chapman. One Salt Lake County family says they are now battling the virus, and they have a message for the county council. Fox 13's John Franke joins us live tonight. John, what are they saying?
Yeah, that message directed toward one council member specifically, and that's Lori Stringham. Now, this family says they have a kindergartner, and it took just a few days in the classroom before he came down with COVID.
He had a fever that was up, and then it went down, and now it's kind of back up again today.
This is a photo of 5-year-old Theo. Friday, the boy who already battles asthma tested positive for COVID-19.
This year was like a big struggle for us as to whether or not we were going to put him in school.
His parents decided to send him to school wearing a mask. His dad, Logan, thought other families of kids too young to be vaccinated would do the same.
He came back the first day and said that there were only 5 other kids wearing masks, and that definitely made us nervous.
This is not a cut and dry, easy decision for anybody who is up here.
Earlier this month, the Salt Lake County Council voted to ignore the recommendation of County Health Director Dr. Angela Dunn and struck down a mask mandate for students in grades K through 6.
Most minimal disruption to these kids.
That's Council member Lori Stringham, one of the 6 members who voted against the mandate. Soon after his son contracted COVID, Logan wrote this letter to Stringham saying, quote, "Blind ignorance guided her decision." The letter was published in the Salt Lake Tribune.
She said that she would not vote for a mandate until numbers were, quote, catastrophic.
Now Logan wonders what exactly defines catastrophic as his 5-year-old battles COVID and his toddler showing symptoms.
I don't know if that means that they're waiting for children to start dying of the virus, or if they're waiting to start seeing kids have, all like long-term effects.
He knows other families are enduring this now and more will as the school year progresses. On this date last year with the mask mandate, the statewide 7-day case rate for kids aged 5 to 10 was 4.2. Today, that number is 37.8.
What does this do even in 16 months, or even in 6 months from now?
That's the sound of Logan's son coughing in the background, a cough he believes would not be an issue if lawmakers followed the advice of medical professionals.
People have got to see eye to eye on this virus, or it will never go away.
And a representative for Councilmember Stringham said they are choosing not to respond to this and believe this was politically motivated. Reporting live in Salt Lake County tonight, John Franke, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Fox 13 News has a one-stop spot for all your COVID-19 and school-related news. You can find case counts for individual school districts all around the state, along with helpful articles about heading back to school this year on our website. Go to fox13now.com. New at 9, former University of Utah Police Chief Rodney Chapman is suing the school for alleged mistreatment and discrimination. According to our content sharing partners at the Salt Lake Tribune, Chapman says the university tried to push him out because of his transparency and desire to reform the campus police department after the death of student athlete Lauren McCluskey. Chapman is seeking $2.5 million in compensation after being put on leave 9 months ago.
We're learning more about a registered sex offender who was arrested over the weekend, accused of trying to kidnap and rape a 10-year-old girl.
Police say he spotted her on Friday night at a Texaco gas station near 44th South and 19th West. Fox 13 investigative reporter Adam Herbets spoke to detectives on this disturbing case.
Well, the suspect in this case, Richard Palmer, has been on the sex offender registry since he was convicted in 2007 for unlawful sexual activity with a minor. Take a look. This is not his mugshot, but it is his most recent photo on the sex offender registry website. Police say the 10-year-old victim went to the gas station to buy a snack. She saw Palmer and immediately she noticed red flags, or as she describes it, he made her not feel good. Then when she left on her bike, he followed, grabbed her by the neck, and she screamed, scaring him to the point where he stopped.
It sounds like what his plan was to take her behind the house and rape her at that point.
Police say the little girl did everything right in this case, but the next step was trying to find the suspect. Police say they were able to get pretty clear surveillance video from the gas station, grab a license plate, and match it to this sex offender's house. And pretty quickly, one of the sergeants recognized the address from a different case involving a sexual assault. Police say because Palmer was on the sex offender registry, that made it much easier to find him. And when they did, they spoke to him and he very quickly confessed, saying that his goal was to take the little girl behind a vacant house and have sex with her. Police say there were 2 other men with Palmer around the time of the attempted kidnapping, but they were not involved. They also say the little girl is doing okay. She was not injured. But, of course, understandably, her family is very upset. Reporting in Roy tonight, Adam Herbets, Fox 13 News, Utah.
In Box Elder County, 8 of their mosquito traps have now tested positive for West Nile. 4 of those positive results were confirmed today. The Box Elder Mosquito Abatement District says while the positive tests are only from 8 of their mosquito traps, it's likely the virus is present throughout the county. The district also warns that with the increase in rain comes an increase in mosquitoes. So take proper precautions before going outside.
A brand new week and another Monday. We're starting off with poor air quality. That smoke is back. It's thick once again, Allison.
Yes, it's the worst right now in the northern half of the state. So coming up this hour, I'll have your smoky sky forecast because right now, especially north of I-70 is where we're seeing that thickest smoke. We have mostly clear sky. It was just hard to enjoy today with the smoke out there. Bigger picture shows you monsoonal moisture making its way into southern Utah. But when you wake up tomorrow morning here in Salt Lake City, 5 a.m. 71 degrees. By 7 o'clock in the morning, 69 degrees, and by 9 a.m., 74 across the state. Those temperatures at 7 a.m. will be in the 60s for the Wasatch Front, Ogden, Salt Lake, Provo, 51 degrees in Logan tomorrow morning. If you're waking up in St. George, about 80 degrees. By tomorrow afternoon, though, we do have better chances for heavy rainfall coming up. I'll let you know where, and that flash flood rating with what you can expect in our recreation areas and how long this moisture will last, as we also have the remnants of a tropical system. I'll let you know what you can expect the next few days coming up in the full forecast.
Coming up on Fox 13 News at 9.
As wildfires rage on in California and damage from Hurricane Ida continues to grow, first responders in Utah are jumping into action.
The people that have chosen this line of work, we know what we're getting into.
We talk with them about the massive undertaking they face to help others in need.
Several universities in Utah will be soon requiring the COVID-19 vaccine, but is it really a requirement? Who doesn't have to get it?
Friends of a Utah college student whose family is stuck in Afghanistan do what they can to help. How you can pitch in too.
It's game week for the Utes, Cougars, and Aggies. Coming up, we'll hear from all 3 head coaches as they gear up for the start of the college football season.
The cleanup is just beginning in Louisiana after Hurricane Ida came roaring through today. This video is from in and around New Orleans. The city's revamped floodgates and levees held up against the storm, but there was a lot of flooding in some neighboring communities as well. Multiple rescues have been done in areas where levees had not been upgraded before the storm.
More evacuation orders now in effect tonight in California as the Caldor fire burns closer to Lake Tahoe. Fire managers say protecting the area remains their top priority, but it is not easy. Since breaking out about 2 weeks ago, the fire burned more than 276 square miles. It's destroyed hundreds of structures, and now 18,000 additional structures are currently threatened. More than 30,000 people have been ordered to leave their homes.
First responders and personnel from Utah are on the front lines of disasters and extreme fire behavior across the country.
Fox 13's Brian Schnee gives us a look at what they're doing to help.
Surveying the damage from the sky caused by Hurricane Ida along the Gulf Coast. A handful from Utah are already in Louisiana on the ground.
We are one of 28 federal disaster response teams located around the country.
Utah Task Force One is both a federal and state asset that responds when called to a disaster.
You know, a lot of our folks, the vast majority of our folks, are prepped and primed for this. They know what busy season means for hurricanes. So in some respects, it's almost predictable or a planned event, if you will.
FEMA requested a few members for oversight and management of the ground operations in response to Hurricane Ida. So Brian Case sent those on his team that are not only experienced with hurricane response, but have been to the Gulf Coast before.
The people that have chosen this line of work, we know what we're getting into. We're happy to do it. And it is a bit of a privilege, too, because there's a few incidents that we've been part of where the locals, who are obviously very much affected by what's happened to them, are over the moon that we're there to help.
In western states, firefighters from Utah have been making the rounds this fire season.
Today we are refilling engines and tenders to support fire operations on the line that's just up here on the mountainside.
A task force comprised of numerous local fire departments from Utah is currently working on the 771,000-acre Dixie Fire in California. This weekend, a 7th Mutual Aid Task Force took off to help with other massive fires.
These requests don't start rolling in until about this time, so we actually started a lot earlier this year. And as we know, fire season in other states can run all year long. We've sent firefighters to California as late as November.
Nearly 160 firefighters have been part of the mutual aid response from local fire departments, which doesn't account for the local, state, and federal wildland crews that have also been working on the front lines of fires across the West. Many of the interagency hotshot crews in the Great Basin are already approaching 100 days on assignment so far this fire season. So regardless of the emergency, Utah teams are more than ready to answer the call for help.
We don't have to do this work. We get to do this work. Where others don't have the opportunity to do the types of things that we do, we actually get to go out and in some cases make a real difference.
Brian Schnee, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Tonight, the last U.S. troops are now on their way home from Afghanistan. U.S. Central Command General Kenneth McKenzie Jr. gave an update earlier this evening. He says this is the largest non-combatant evacuation ever in the history of the U.S. military.
In total, U.S. and coalition aircraft combined to evacuate more than 123,000 civilians, which were all enabled by U.S. military service members who were securing and operating the airfield. On average, we have evacuated more than 7,500 civilians per day over the 18 days of the mission, which includes 16 full days of evacuations, and more than 19,000 on a single day.
The 18th Airborne Corps posted a photo of the last U.S. soldier to leave Afghanistan. This is Major General Chris Donahue, commander of the U.S. Army 82nd Airborne. Once he got on board the last flight, it marked the end to America's longest war. A Westminster College student from Afghanistan is getting some help from friends and strangers as he does what he can to get his family out of Kabul.
Fox 13's Haley Higgins shows us how one Salt Lake City diner gave him a big helping hand during this very difficult time.
The whole center of my attention is all in my family.
Abid Baraksi came to Utah as a foreign exchange student in 2016, getting away from the constant war and violence in Afghanistan. His parents and siblings, he says, were nearly wiped out by the blast at the Kabul airport.
It's kind of difficult, you know, like when you are the only hope for your entire family, especially like as a first generation.
Obaid is applying for U.S. visas to get his family out of Afghanistan. All he has, he says, is hope that he can get them to safety.
That's the only thing that keeps me standing and that keeps me going, because otherwise I don't have anything else to hope for.
On Monday, his friends show him he has a lot more than hope.
Yes, let's do
but also support.
Everything here, people have donated.
Obaid's friends from high school organized a fundraiser Monday at the Vertical Diner in Salt Lake City. 10% of sales go to help his family.
2 banana, 2 blueberry.
As well as all of their tips.
It's a big deal for him, and it's a big deal for us as well. Like we've been really close with him for a long time. So far we've got $128 in tips.
The friends say Obaid inspires them with his perseverance and grace. However, people who don't even know him were inspired to help too.
We're all in this together. It doesn't matter what you believe, where you come from. This is a human story, and somebody's hurting.
For Obaid, he says every little bit helps to get his family closer to safety.
You basically get to meet, the people that you truly love in the most difficult times. They get to help you in the most difficult times.
Utah Senator Mike Lee says his office has caseworkers who are also trying to help get the family out of Afghanistan. Reporting in Salt Lake City, Haley Higgins, Fox 13 News, Utah. And while the Vertical Diner fundraiser is over, donations are still being collected. If you'd like to pitch in, go to fox13now.com.
Constant smoke in the air. We were
sick
just
of it,
we were just saying that I don't remember it ever being like this before.
Oh, it's been so extreme, and I'm just afraid that with the way the future's going with these extremes, that this becomes our new normal, and I really
I hope not.
hope that's not the case. Here across Utah, our air quality right now is at the unhealthy for sensitive groups level for Logan, Ogden, Layton. Looking into the Salt Lake Valley currently, a little bit worse than it was a few hours ago, but we still have a little bit of moderate air mixed in for the eastern part of the Salt Lake Valley, but mostly at the orange level. Same thing for Heber, Park City. Utah County has gotten a little bit worse, but we still have a little bit of moderate air, those yellow dots in the Provo area. And then across southern Utah, we have better air quality. So at least we've got that going for us. I'm just trying to find a sliver of hope here across the state. 83 here in Salt Lake currently. Full visibility, so that's good. Our air quality is expected to be a little bit better by Wednesday with voluntary action in the forecast with moderate air, but tomorrow will likely be more of the same. Satellite and radar shows you moisture moving in from the south. So we've got monsoonal moisture making a return, and then we're also going to mix in remnants of a tropical system. But here today, Wasatch Front, Logan, Ogden, Salt Lake, Harriman, Lehigh, Provo, down through Santaquin. That's where we've had mostly clear sky, and heading into tomorrow morning, you'll have the sunshine first thing here in Salt Lake, but just keep in mind that we're going to have still some haze across northern Utah. I'll have your smoky sky forecast coming up later in the hour. But first, I want to focus on our chance for storms tomorrow. The storm threat tomorrow does bring the chance for thunderstorms everywhere highlighted in that mint green color. So almost all of Utah. This does include Salt Lake City up towards about Ogden. And that's exactly where we're going to see our futurecast filling in with cloud cover tomorrow and also a better chance for showers and thunderstorms. So some spotty rain when you first wake up in southwestern Utah tomorrow morning. That becomes more pronounced during the afternoon hours, and we're going to see some of these storms producing heavy rainfall. So flash flooding becomes a concern yet again heading into the next few days. So tomorrow dinner time, especially across central Utah into southwestern Utah, line of thunderstorms possible moving through tomorrow evening. So this is the timestamp of 10 p.m. So this time tomorrow, we're still going to have a lot of activity going on across southern Utah into Wednesday. And in fact, Wednesday, that's when it becomes the most likely here across quite a bit of Utah. So overnight temps about 65 to 70 for Ogden, Salt Lake, and Provo. Mid-50s for Logan, St. George around 80, and by tomorrow afternoon our temperatures will be around 85 to 95 for Ogden, Logan, Salt Lake, Provo, low 80s for Park City and Evanston, St. George in the 90s, and then we'll be tracking the remnants of Nora. So we do have a tropical system that is going to be impacting us here out west as people in the southeast are still cleaning up and dealing with Ida moving through Mississippi, western Alabama, Tennessee, seeing those impacts. So next couple of days, St. George quite a bit cooler for Wednesday. We're back into the mid-90s for Labor Day weekend, and for the Wasatch Front, mid-90s tomorrow. 80 on Wednesday with a chance for some thunderstorms middle of the week, upper 80s this weekend. Coming up later in the hour, I'll show you that smoky sky forecast and what you can expect for flash flooding possibilities tomorrow.
Allison, thank you. Still ahead, after battling cancer for the past year and a half, one Utah County student had an unforgettable return to the classroom today. We'll show you when we come back. Welcome back, everyone. Today, the 18th annual blood battle between Weber State and Utah State Universities began. This year, the schools have their largest goal yet, 1,000 units of blood. The Regional Donor Services Executive for the American Red Cross says it is so important people get out and donate.
It's pretty timely with a lot of things going on, both with blood, the pandemic, and also with some of the emergencies happening across the country that are having to cancel drives. So this is a great event.
The blood battle will continue through the end of the week. Red Cross teams will be at each school from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. For more details on where students can donate, go to fox13now.com.
In Salem, a young cancer survivor is riding high after returning to school for the first time in nearly a year. 10-year-old Luke Fowles' rare form of cancer is now in remission. He was diagnosed a year and a half ago. Word of his battle quickly spread. So today, first responders gave Luke and his family a flashing light motorcade escort back to Foothills Elementary.
I never thought the first day of school would be as momentous as this.
Called us last night and said, you know what, we want to send Luke to his first day with you know, a bang, and this has just been such a memorable moment for our family.
Luke's parents say he's anxious to go back to normal life as a kid. They're grateful everyone has been so supportive.
Coming up after the break.
These are very divisive issues, and we're always trying to bring people together and get to the right policy.
The federal government is looking closely at the Utah legislature's ban on mask mandates for schools. Why the state could soon be in a lot of legal trouble.
Several Utah universities are now requiring the COVID-19 vaccine. How it's already impacting students.
Plus, we know we've been breathing bad air. Coming up, we go in depth on just how unhealthy it's really been.
Last week, Charlie Brewer was named the Utes starting quarterback. Today, Kyle Whittingham talked about making that decision.
I will be meeting with the legislature this week. It's important that we keep them apprised of what's happening.
The U.S. Department of Education is now investigating the state of Utah for its restrictions on masks in schools.
As Fox 13's Ben Winslow reports, the investigation by the federal government could land Utah in a lot of legal trouble.
These are very divisive issues, and we're always trying to bring people together and get to the right policy.
The U.S. Department of Education sent a letter to state officials notifying them of a formal investigation. It says Utah's education system may be preventing students with disabilities or those with at-risk health conditions from having an in-person education as a result of Utah's policies on COVID-19 and face masks in schools. The Utah legislature severely restricted the ability for schools to impose a mask mandate. A health department can issue one, but it can be overturned by a county council or commission. Governor Spencer Cox wouldn't comment directly on the federal investigation, but told Fox 13 he will be meeting with legislative leaders this week as hospitals across Utah are over capacity and school cases climb. He would not rule out some kind of action to allow masks in schools.
Hopefully we can come to some agreement on how best to slow the spread of this virus, because our hospitals are in trouble, Ben.
So are you going to be pushing for masks in schools when you meet with legislative leadership?
We'll be talking about all of the options. So my job with the legislature right now is to lay out all of the options that are out there. There are different ideas about that. The legislature has made it clear that there is no interest in a statewide mask mandate. The question is, what happens when there's mass spread in a school? Like, what happens once that takes off inside a school? Is there a time, a short time, when mask would be possible until it goes back down, or is that off the table as well?
Now, it should be pointed out the federal investigation is very very similar to a lawsuit that was filed by a group of parents against the state of Utah. It essentially alleges that mask restrictions deny disabled and at-risk students a right to an in-person education that they're entitled to under the Utah Constitution. In Logan, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
New at 9, a big announcement from the University of Utah healthcare system. Effective the end of September, all hospital and clinic workers and patient-sensitive jobs will be required to get the COVID-19 vaccine. The university says it will allow for medical and religious exemptions. The U has clinics around the state. It follows the University of Utah's decision last week to impose a vaccine requirement on students.
Today, Utah Valley University announced students will be required to get the COVID-19 vaccine by spring semester. The school says it is now developing a plan to reduce infection and hospitalization rates in Utah County, along with the state, while acknowledging exemptions for personal, religious, and medical reasons. The faculty and staff are being strongly encouraged to get vaccinated, but for now, they're not requiring it. Well, several other universities will also require the COVID-19 vaccine come spring semester, including Weber State.
Fox 13's Sydney Glenn spoke with students about whether the requirement will affect their decision to get vaccinated.
The first day of school.
There's a lot of excitement and a lot of buzz going around campus.
Includes a place to get a shot.
I've been thinking about getting it for a little bit.
Hi. It was a busy day at Weber State University's free COVID-19 vaccine clinic.
I was actually surprised that there were so many. I didn't think that there was going to be that many on the first day, but I mean, it goes to show how much people want a normal life again.
If students want to register for classes next semester, they'll need the shot. For Jackson Henderson, he says this just gave him a push.
If they're going to be requiring it anyway.
Well, Brooklyn Muhammad says she was planning to get it soon anyways, but convenience made it simple.
I'm going to go to Disneyland in September, so that's pretty much the main reason I want to get it so quick, so that I'm able to do that. And then school is like the secondary part.
The student body president says there's been mixed reactions to the news of the requirement, but wants students to know there is still a choice.
I know there are students that are concerned about, the lingering pandemic that's still going on, and then students that are concerned about not wanting to get the vaccine or not wanting to wear a mask. So it's almost this balancing act of finding ways that we can still be safe, but still provide students with their choice.
A university spokesperson says based on a recent survey, about 80% of students said they are already vaccinated or planning to.
The main reason I want to wear a mask, I want to get back to being normal. I want to do day-to-day things so we don't have to have that restriction.
All state universities that will be requiring the COVID-19 vaccine come spring semester will be offering personal, religious, and medical exemptions for students. At Weber State University, Sydney Glenn, Fox 13 News, Utah.
We have an update tonight on the Lori Vallow Daybell case. An Idaho judge ruled today that she is still incompetent to stand trial. She did not appear at the virtual hearing this afternoon and has not appeared in court in months. Her case was put on hold when she was deemed mentally incompetent earlier this summer. She is still being examined by professionals, and there is still work to be done before the case can move forward.
I think we need a progress report before an order extending the commitment would be entered.
I don't think we could test the idea of continued commitment, but a progress report I think would assist with the matter of all parties.
Since June 8th, Daybell has been receiving treatment at a mental health facility. She faces charges in connection with the murders of 4 people, including her 2 children. Her husband, Chad Daybell, also had a court hearing today where he waived his right to a speedy trial.
Well, tonight, American Fork Police are apologizing after a Facebook post created some controversy over the weekend. One of their officers took a selfie with a group of people holding American flags, showing support for our troops, and then posted it on the department's Facebook page. However, the officer did not notice that one of the people was holding up the traditional OK hand sign, which in recent years has been linked to white supremacists. Now, that person was also wearing a Proud Boys hat, which has been declared a hate group by the Southern Poverty Law Center. American Fork PD has released this statement saying in part, quote, "We do not condone such behavior." So the post was immediately removed as soon as we realized it existed in the photo. We have a little good news to report for you tonight. It's always a good thing, right? More counties are moving out of the extreme fire restrictions.
Only state and private unincorporated lands in Box Elder, Cache, Rich, and Weber counties remain under Stage 2 fire restrictions. Those prohibit open flames of any kind. Tooele, Salt Lake, Utah, Morgan, and Davis counties are moving to the Stage 1 restrictions. The BLM still has Stage 2 restrictions for a lot of northern Utah. The rest of the state is moving to Stage 1 or no restrictions on Wednesday.
Sometimes it helps to confirm that things really were as bad as they seemed. If that's how you've been feeling about the air this month, we're going to show you just how historically right you are.
And speaking of the air, coming up, all of your surface smoke forecast is what you can expect for the air quality when you wake up tomorrow morning, plus a chance for flash flooding. We'll be back.
Glad you're with us tonight, everyone. In the last 15 years, Utah has made significant progress in cleaning up the winter air.
But that silver lining is hard to see through this summer's smoke. Fox 13's Max Roth takes an in-depth look at how smoke has changed the environmental calendar.
Our particulate emissions come from cold and fire, the cold dome of winter inversions, and the clouds of smoke from monster wildfires to our west. And if you think of it as a cruel competition between our hot and cold months for the worst air, ice is starting to lose its place. Historically, Utah is a place where cold beats heat when it comes to a cruel competition for bad air. Take measurements for PM 2.5 at Utah's Rose Park Air Monitoring Station from 2008 to today. January takes the gold by a mile, December the silver, August the bronze, July a close fourth. But the inversion we've seen lately is inverting the bad air calendar. For the past 6.5 years, August gets the silver, with January just ahead and December just behind. And this year, July and August were worse than last January and December. And August was the worst AQI average since January of 2015. So winter inversion smog has gotten much better in recent years, but that is not something anyone wants to make up for in the summers. In the newsroom, Max Roth, Fox 13 News, Utah.
A family in Harriman has made a touching tribute to the fallen service members killed in Afghanistan. We'll introduce you to the people behind these patriotic flags. Still ahead.
College football season starts this week for the Utes, Cougars, and Aggies. We'll hear from BYU's Kalani Sitake and Utah State's Blake Anderson coming up in sports, and Utah's Kyle Whittingham. He'll tell us what was the deciding factors for Charlie Brewer being named the Utes starting quarterback.
Thank you so much for joining us for Fox 13 News at 9. Fox 13 meteorologist Allison Krogan will have your first alert forecast in just a few minutes. Plan out the rest of August into September when it comes to your weather coming up.
Hopefully we'll be able to breathe here pretty soon. A Harriman neighborhood is paying respects to the 13 American service members killed in the suicide bombing outside the Kabul airport, including Utah's own Marine Staff Sergeant Taylor Hoover.
Fox 13's Lauren Steinbrecher is live on Butterfield Parkway with how one show of support then morphed into an unexpected and heartfelt second tribute. Lauren.
Yeah, Kelly and Bob. So anyone who's driving down the street here will see these 13 flags flying. And there were 4 children ages 5 to 13 and their parents who saw these flags and wanted to make sure that people who saw it really had a chance to reflect on each of those 13 service members.
It's not unusual to see these flags flying near Solom Way in Harriman.
13 houses, we're all really close neighbors. We set these flags out for every major holiday.
13 flags for 13 houses. So when 13 U.S. service members died in the attack outside the airport in Kabul last week,
we decided that that would be a really great tribute to honor them.
And I love the sunset in the background. As people stopped to see the flags Jeremy Brown put up Sunday morning.
How many flags are there, bud?
13.
13. How come?
Flags? Because all 13 soldiers died.
The Bailey family wanted them to know who these flags represented.
He had a wife and she was expecting a baby. It was sad.
I felt sad because I want everybody to have a good life and live good, and they didn't get to.
The three brothers and Sister Aniston made a drawing for each name to hang next to the flags with a special picture in the middle.
So they would know that it's not just names but that we could never forget how they sacrificed, and we put the American flag like how they gave us freedom.
At 8 years old, Aniston is learning about sacrifice, about war, about what it means to pay respects.
We all really cared for them, and that we wanted to make these posters so they would never be forgotten.
Near Solom Way in Harriman, from these kids, a solemn tribute shared with the community.
America.
Now, Jeremy does take these flags down every night so that they're not in the dark, but he's going to keep up this display through September 11th. Anyone who wants to come drive by, it's just Butterfield Parkway near Solom Way here in Harriman. Live in Harriman, Lauren Steinbrecher, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Special tribute, Lauren, thank you. Just into the Fox 13 newsroom, the boil order in the Battle Creek area of Pleasant Grove is now lifted. The city of Pleasant Grove tweeted the update earlier tonight. There was a delay in the order being lifted over the weekend as more water testing was needed to confirm E. coli had indeed been flushed from the contaminated areas.
All right, the big question this week has been, when will the smoke improve? When you wake up tomorrow morning, 8:30 a.m., your surface smoke forecast still keeps some thick smoke, mostly from about Tremont north. But take a look at what you can expect through Tuesday afternoon. We're going to see that smoke moving back down towards Salt Lake City, starting to get into Utah County. And this will kind of just be worse at times, better at times over the next couple of days, as long as those fires are burning off to our west. Again, things will ebb and flow with that smoke here across the state. Now, waking up tomorrow morning here in Salt Lake, around 70 degrees, sunshine across the Salt Lake Valley. You're waking up in Draper, you're waking up in Harriman, West Valley. Things will be about 70 degrees. And then we had the mostly clear sky today. Still mostly clear, Logan down through Brigham City, Ogden, Farmington, all the way down towards the Cedar Fort area and over towards Grantsville. We have clear sky for most of Utah. South of I-70, few scattered light showers, Panguitch down towards Zion National Park. A lot of that's probably not quite reaching the ground. Better chance for that rain will be tomorrow. So tomorrow and into Wednesday, we'll have flash flood watches in effect for the southern half of the state. Price down through the Canyonlands area, all the way down to the Arizona border. Overnight temps around 60 to 65 for Provo, Salt Lake, and Ogden at 7 a.m. Low 50s in Logan. And by tomorrow afternoon, those temperatures will be about 90 for the Wasatch Front. Park City in the low 80s, but we're going to see a better chance for showers and thunderstorms. So this will be our main story tomorrow. Excessive rain outlook does bring a marginal risk for heavy rainfall all the way up to Highway 6, and that does include a better chance for the heavy rainfall down towards the Arizona border near Zion National Park into northern Arizona. So your flash flooding potential is rated for probable tomorrow for Capitol Reef, Grand Staircase, Natural Bridges, Grand Gulch, San Rafael, and also Zion National Park. It's going to be a good day to stay weather aware. Better chance for those showers and thunderstorms to develop into tomorrow afternoon through through Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. Check this out. Wednesday at 8 a.m. we're going to have a lot of active weather here across the state, especially in central, southern, and eastern Utah. Wasatch Front could get in on the action as well. The rain projection for the next 7 days does bring that chance for light rain to most of Utah, with that heaviest rainfall likely south of I-70. But we're going to end up with temperatures really cooling down tomorrow for St. George into Wednesday. So Tuesday to Wednesday, a 10-degree cool down back into the 90s by Thursday. And for Salt Lake City, our temperatures low 90s tomorrow, around 80 on Wednesday, and we'll keep it in the 80s through the rest of the 7-day forecast.
It's week 1 of the college football season, and it starts this Thursday with Utah hosting Weber State. The Utes announced last week that Baylor transfer Charlie Brewer is their starting quarterback. Today, head coach Kyle Whittingham talked about how he won the job over Cam Rising.
Well, he had the edge statistically, first of all, and that's not the only thing you take into account. But he did have a slight edge statistically, a guy that has a lot of leadership, and it was a close call. It could have gone it was so close it could have gone either way. But Charlie's experience, having started over 40 games or played in over 40 Division I games, and the success he had at Baylor throwing the football, and I believe our team would have been just fine with either decision. I mean, they would have rallied around whichever guy ultimately won the job. They're both very well respected, hard workers, prepare the way you're supposed to, and so it was really close. But ultimately, Charlie and probably the experience factor was probably the biggest reason behind it.
BYU plays Arizona on Saturday in Las Vegas in the new NFL stadium for the Las Vegas Raiders. The Cougars are coming off a great season. They went 11-1, finished 11th in the final AP poll led by Zach Wilson. But this team isn't thinking about last season. New quarterback Jaron Hall and the Cougars are ready to prove themselves this season.
Looking forward to seeing the new players get their opportunities, specifically the quarterback, with Zach being gone. See what Jaron can get done, but I really feel good about the rest of the group. I don't think there's anything to prove from last year. We've moved on to this year already, and guys just focusing on trying to perform at their best against Arizona. That's the focus.
Utah State also plays on Saturday against a Pac-12 opponent on the road against Washington State. It's the start of the Blake Anderson era, and after 8 months on the job, it's game time.
Whether we're ready or not, I guess that remains to be seen. But you kind of just got to go out and measure yourself and see what you're capable of doing. But I'm excited about the game. I think it's a great game for us. It's a big challenge. We know that going in, but it's a challenge that we're excited about. We're putting together a game plan to go up there and get a win on the road against a good opponent. And I think the kids have kind of wrapped their minds around that is possible. It is doable if we do the right things. We prepare the right way and we go in and play our best ball. And that's what we're going to try to do this week.
They're all ready to go. We'll be right back.
So glad you could be with us this past hour.
Thanks for being part of Fox 13 News at 9. QuickCast is up next.